have a better sound here. So we will get things moving here. Make sure. Alright, so, and it seems like again there's a slight lag. And I have it on the ultra low latency for the to be able to have the quicker movement. But okay, it is what it is. Alright. This is a public meeting. Anyone in this meeting claiming any form of U.S. citizenship or employment with any federal agency is now, for the next segment of this gathering, general education class, invited to either declare your presence and business here, or we ask you to leave the call at this time. Being that we are on YouTube, you can post it in the chat. We're not asking you to leave if you do present yourself honorably, but you do have to at least present yourself honorably. Okay, and hearing none yet at the moment. All right, I will, and as you come into the call, hopefully you'll know to be able to respond. So I'll repeat, if you are a U.S. citizen or an undeclared federal agent, please raise your hands or vacate our gathering. Again, leave the comment in the post it in the chat. That's what I could do here too. Let's see, in the chat, we'll do the first run and put it in the chat. Okay. Oh, that's more than the amount of text. So this is the first portion. Okay, then here is the second. And let me copy it. Oh, it's up here. So again, I had repeated, if you are a U.S. citizen, okay. Or undeclared federal agent, please post your comment in the chat. And let's see, get rid of it so I can put this over here. All right, there's the second. All right, hearing none. For the third and final time. Okay, so this has to be split as well because of the length. Alright. Oh, a little bit more. Okay. And then the final portion. Interesting, but we'll figure it out one way or another, hopefully, to be able to put that in. All right, let's see. Just about. Finish the last piece. What was that? I think that was it. Oh, okay. All right, so that's in there. All right, so we'll go ahead and continue moving forward. And let me stop. We've had a few moments of silence. And But if you did take a moment and have a moment of silence, because we do need to remember to honor our Creator. Okay. Again, welcome. This is Christine Bundy on Gibson County, Indiana. This is Friday. This is Wednesday, the 17th of May, 2023, and this is a general education training call. And as the link is in the chat at the beginning of the chat, and as to this presentation here, so I'm not going to, the first two articles I'm not pulling up. I've pulled out pieces from them that were important, but I have posted the link here. They are not on Ed Mobius's YouTube channel yet, so I wasn't able to post a link where it goes through the audio for it. However, the PDF is here. So this one is Article 3296, the status of coordinators and how to withdraw. The coordinators, both state, make this a little bit bigger. Both state and county work for the Federation. They're not elected state or county officials, nor are they appointed by the state assembly. Their role is to assist and oversee the assembling process and serve as liaisons between the Federation and their state assembly during this organizational process. Once the assemblies are fully functional, the coordinators will be gone. As they work for the Federation has the hiring and firing responsibility. We try to honor the wishes of the local folks, but there are occasions when we feel it would not be prudent to do so. We aren't talking about a mistake here and there. We're talking about consistent failure to grasp how our American government is meant to operate and how it is different from the U.S. government we have dealt with in the past. Many people are heavily indoctrinated and have a hard time adjusting to the actual American government system, which is radically different from the U.S. government system they have grown up in. Some people are not competent to handle the job. Some are con artists who talk a good talk, but aren't honest people to begin with. They're eventually found out every organization on earth has the same problems and challenges. When you record your paperwork to recover your birthright political status as an American, you create a public record. That record is permanent. The only way you can change it and return to your former status as a British subject or municipal citizen of the United States is to re-register as such. I'll also note that re-registering means that you will have no constitutional guarantees, no right to own land in this country, and won't be eligible for the exemptions and repayments that you would otherwise be eligible to receive. Finally, there is also a misconception that recording your 1779 declaration or finishing the 928 paperwork creates some kind of contract between us. But that's not the case. So there is no reason or need for anyone to rescind anything. If you want to be subjects of the Queen or minions of the Pope, just re-register as such and they will gladly accept your allegiance and your labor and your property rights and all your assets and as chattel collateral belonging to them. So as far as I can observe, there will always be those who prefer the nanny state and the coercive power of foreign sovereigns to the arduous challenge of self-governance. So be it. It isn't our role or desire to meddle with anyone's free will, and aside from defending their property rights from attack, we have no interest in their assets either. All right, let's see. Okay, so we'll just keep going. It is what it is. All right, so Article 3092, not a state facility, a state of state facility. Crime scene. And there's the PDF. Coming out of the state of New Hampshire, news that hundreds of children in the state of New Hampshire custody were raped, beaten, and abused by state of New Hampshire employees entrusted with their care. after they had been taken from their families for neglect, abandonment, or because they were orphaned. So both your parents are dead, or one is a helpless drunk and the other is a drug addict, or, well, you get the picture. However it happened, you are a young child and you are here on earth without adult caregivers. Nobody wants to take responsibility for you. Or alternatively, there are people who want to take care of you, but in the self-interested opinion of your state of New Hampshire employees, they are too old, too conservative, too poor, too whatever to take care of their own family members. So they come and they snatch you from wherever you are and from whoever you are with, perhaps a kindly but doddering grandparent or auntie with too many kids of her own and no husband. And they put you in a youth facility and they treat you like a used nose wipe while charging the faithful taxpayers of New Hampshire $6,000 per day. I'm using the average cost of keeping prisoners in penal institutions because it's pretty much the same service. To keep you in that facility going to therapy sessions that turn out to be gang rape and sodomy sessions for the staff. So there comes a British commercial corporation or a municipal commercial corporation in the business of providing governmental services. And you, poor little one, they see a golden goose, yet another opportunity to serve and provide services we never asked them to provide, and of course to charge us up the yin-yang for every such service every step of the way. The same explanation being given by Russ Riley, the lead attorney in the case. The systematic governmental child abuse that occurred was allowed to occur because there wasn't sufficient oversight, and the state was institutionally negligent in their hiring, training, supervising, and retention policies, Riley said. It's pretty clear to me that this facility was a magnet for predators. So tell me this, in big letters, that in all the centuries that unwanted, neglected, and also orphaned children have been a problem, nobody has had the brains and heart to sit down and actually figure out an answer that works. Perhaps we do deserve to die as a species. Just be wiped out once and for all, chalked up as a failed grand experiment. Why don't we begin by inviting all those Christians out there to walk the walk? They've got big mouths, most of them, and have plenty of opinions. But how many who could act as foster parents step up? How's it going to feel when the creator of these children who entrusted them to our care looks at us and says, "You had cause to know that there was need, and you did nothing. You had cause to know or at least suspect that there were terrible things being done in these institutions, but you looked away." Okay, so that was that article. I want to mention that I have a feeling that state of Indiana has similar types of facilities, whether it is for children as well as for where they have trapped women in the system, and once they're pregnant, they pick them up. They find a way to go ahead that they need to go ahead and take them into their custody as soon as they're pregnant. So be mindful of that. There's potential that there could be a few of those locations. So, and that is where you, as the people of Indiana, when you're armored up and you step up with the assembly, then you're able to be that voice to speak out and protect, free them, help them, as well as then protect all of the other people on the state. But it has to be you. It's not the coordinator that makes that happen. It's you. You all have to make that happen. You can't look for someone else to go fix everything. Okay. So, let's see. Alright, so let's take a moment here. I'm not going to be playing this video again. This is just a courtesy for this photo to be able to share. We are going to go into this final PDF, and we'll take this opportunity to go ahead and, oh, wrong direction. We'll take the opportunity to go ahead and see about getting local set up. So let's see what we can do here. Hold on just a moment as I get some of this, get that reworked. Okay, so let's see. Have I been on here? Yes. Okay, good. Alright. Okay, yeah. Alright. So if you don't know, it's thegeneralpublic.locals.com, and let me get logged in so we can see about, okay, so from the instructions it had said that I go back to the post that I created it from, and I can go in there, and that's where I can start that stream from. Alright, maybe. Okay, let's see. Edit, maybe? No. Okay, so that was how was that supposed to work? Let's see. It had said, or let's see, how can let me try something else. No. Oh, just create a post. So I have to go to the, I apologize again for the delay. Let's see. If I go to alright, so I think I have to be, no. Okay, so that's why I was working to give like 7:30, 7:40 so that I could have the opportunity to see about, of course, the instructions were, I didn't have a really good opportunity to look deeply into it. So let's see, how are we going to do this? Alright, so let's see. If I create another post, can I do that? Let's see. Okay, so that was supposed to be able to give me an opportunity for the chat. It said to go into that, and I can be able to, nope, I don't need that. Nope. Alright, it said I would be able to go in, and I could give it, enable live chat. It doesn't give the opportunity to create it as a post. Oh my goodness. Of course. This is crazy. Oh, wait a minute. Was there one in here that... this is it. Yes! Okay. I think I got it. No, it sent me here. Let's see. Alright, can I do it from here? Because that looks a little bit different. That's the event invite, but it doesn't, because it's... Okay, so lovely. I'm not really sure how that's supposed to work. Okay. So status active, so not sure how that's, say yes. Because I couldn't, yeah. Alright, so that's not working. Alright, so I've got to, not happening. Okay, so let's go ahead and get onto this and we can wrap. Let's see, I'm not going into full reading, but we do have to move forward. It's all good. Okay. Oh, it's here. Okay. All right, orientation for newbies. So you've discovered the great fraud, figured out that you need to come home to the land and soil jurisdiction where you naturally belong. Congratulations, you have made a wise choice. But whether you know it or not, you are carrying a lot of baggage with you. This isn't your fault. You have been indoctrinated and trained to accept a top-down hierarchy of authority, and as a result, your expectation and assumptions about government and how things work is 180 degrees out of phase with your actual government, in which authority flows in the opposite direction. This is just one major change and adjustment. There are others. Okay, so you have been given a completely twisted version of history with more holes in it than an average Swiss cheese. Rewards, respect, and authority in our system of government is given to those who are wisest, kindest, most learned, most motivated to serve, and most honorable. All the hard lessons you learned on the playground and climbing the corporate ladder need to be left behind in favor of an egalitarian vision of self-respect, self-determination, and self-responsibility, freedom, equality, brotherhood, and free will, all of which are the hallmarks of self-governance. Self-governing a country begins first and foremost with governing ourselves. With all this freedom and so many rights to exercise, some newcomers think that someone died and left them in charge of the world. This is not the case. As my mother used to tell me almost daily, your rights end where another person's rights begin. We have not been taught that lesson in public school, in the military, or in the corporate environment, so we all need to learn it now. Reflect upon the meaning and attitude of this logic. I may not agree with what you say, sir, but I shall defend to the death your right to say it. We are all the inheritors of nature and nature's God, all having unalienable rights, and only some of those rights are enumerated in the Bill of Rights. In our world, we all have the rights to be idiots, to make mistakes, to insult others, believe horse hooey, and engage in damaging behaviors. But then, as adults, we are also held accountable for those choices. Bad choices catch up to us, usually sooner than later. Anyone who causes disruption, interferes with the ability of this assembly to conduct business, is belligerent and disrespectful, doesn't bother to get on the agenda, indulges in gossip and character assassination, and otherwise feels called to undermine group morale and commandeer the proceedings, can be removed by the officers appointed to provide security. You have a birthright and can't be deprived of membership in a state assembly, but you can be kicked out of any single meeting if you persist in causing trouble or obstructing progress. Nobody should be insulted by being presented with a Bivens declaration. Those who are employed by the federal government or federal, state, or state government should, generally speaking, be participating in their own district assembly. And while they are welcome as state nationals to attend public meetings of the state assembly and share their opinions about in-state issues, they're not eligible to function as state citizens and are not eligible to vote on or influence interstate decision-making until they retire or otherwise sever their obligations to the federal government. All our state coordinators function as state nationals on assignment for the Federation. The Federation is not the federal government. The Federation is an instrumentality of the states of the Union combined. As a result, there is no presumption of any conflict of interest owed to a foreign government on the part of our coordinators, but they still do not function as state citizens until they retire from the position of state coordinator, or the position naturally sunsets once the entire assembly structure is up and functioning properly. A considerable amount of confusion has surrounded the issue of being a state national versus being a state citizen. State citizens have to be at least 21, have their home firmly established within the borders of their native or adopted state of the Union, have their 1779 declaration recorded, be a member of the Assembly in good standing, and most importantly, have no divided allegiance to any other political entity or government. When it comes to interstate and international affairs, those making decisions for our states cannot be compromised by conflicts of interest. State nationals, on the other hand, are free of any obligation to the state government, except that they are obligated to keep the peace. This means that state nationals enjoy the protection of the state and the enforcement of their constitutional guarantees by the state. And so long as they don't harm anyone else or ruin or steal property belonging to others, they're free to live their lives and enjoy the peace. At first glance, many newbies think this means that being a state national is a free ride, all the gravy and none of the responsibility. That is precisely the attitude that got us into the mess we are now trying to correct. We left power-hungry and greedy men at the helm, and we see the results. Too many good men and women are doing nothing. It hasn't been screen sharing this whole time. I apologize. The present situation is living testimony to the fact that if you want something done right, you need to do it yourself. There's only us chickens here, and the work and the responsibility is entirely on us. If you're not pleased with the way things have gone in the past, chalk it up to one thing. You and others like you weren't there, doing your public duty to self-govern. If you think things aren't happening fast enough to suit you, there's the wheel, hamster. For an adult to choose the status of state national usually implies some condition of need. People who are too old or too sick to fully participate, people who have overwhelming burdens at home, people who suffer from mental issues and addictions, people who are working for other governments, and all minors, are owed the status of state nationals in our protection. Among all the surprises we've had as we assemble and bring the state assemblies into session is the fact that many people no longer have a concept of public meetings, civil discourse, and decorum. Our state assemblies are public bodies. They're not private clubs. Assemblies are not, generally speaking, places to air your private grievances, though there are avenues supported by the assemblies to pursue such grievances. We have recently gained access to the administrative courts, which are responsible for providing us with a remedy for trespass and misadministration against us. We're also well on our way to securing commercial remedy for assembly members. Those who are arriving with pre-existing legal issues need to complete a federal criminal incident report and record it via the Office of the State Recording Secretary as a first step toward redress. Assembly meetings cannot dissolve into pity parties or gossip sessions. Always remember that there are 320 million Americans, and most of them have a horror story or two or three to share. Also remember that our combined bigger fish to fry are more important than any one misery. We don't need tears and drama. We need proper, practical, determined, and concerted group action. Likewise, there are some who come to our assemblies with the nasty and immature habit of gossiping and causing doubt, disruption, and paranoia. The assemblies are here to accomplish serious and necessary business, and it is to benefit it is to the benefit of everyone concerned that we get on with it and establish a united front. We can't do this if we're snipping at each other behind our backs like teenagers in a locker room. If you have any honest concerns or questions, you all know how to get in contact with me. Be direct and expect that I will be direct in return. Always remember that what we are doing is completely lawful, proper, and peaceful. We are restoring our government to its full form and function, and there is nobody else that has the right to do that. We've been running on 4 cylinders since 1860, but that is about to change for the better. You have grown up in a system calling itself a democracy. In this democracy, the majority rules, or supposed to. However, in our actual government, we maintain Republican states. There are rules and definitions, but they all respect free will and the rights of individuals above all else. We are, each one of us, a majority of one. In a democracy, there is a definite herd or team mentality, which causes people to attack others who don't agree with them and to be frightened if there isn't a universal agreement in place about everything down to a gnat's eyelash. But in our system of government, everyone is allowed their own opinion, doesn't have to like everything, isn't required to march in step or march at all. And they can still be respected and trusted as long as they do no harm. There may be times when members of an assembly passionately disagree about important issues. You will be tasked to consider many such issues in the days to come, and you all owe it to yourselves and to each other to be alert and observing and thinking hard and logically as you decide issues that will impact you, your family, your future, your state of the union, and the country as a whole. If you just felt a chill go up your spine, good. It is an awe-inspiring responsibility that undergirds all the rights that you're heir to. It's not for the lazy, the ignorant, or the faint of heart. And you may be feeling a bit overwhelmed as you realize this is for real. Well, yes, it is. This is your government. This is what underlies the American dream. It's your family, friends, and neighbors coming together to decide what happens in your state and your world, and enforcing the public law that you collectively ordain for your protection and the protection of all other Americans. It's a stiff order, and I won't sugarcoat it. There's a lot of thankless, hard, picky work to be done. There are funds to raise, books to bind, classes to attend, plans to be made, research to delve into, resources to be developed, video courses to create, communications to make, courts to organize and run, peacekeeping duties to attend to, court suits to fight, and the list goes on. Our country and our government has been left adrift and at the mercy of foreign subcontractors for a century and a half. We're like Rip Van Winkle, and everyone has a lot of catching up to do. That said, there is no more important work to do or anything of more crucial potential benefit or loss. This is, in its own way, America's finest hour, and the rest of the whole world is waiting and watching to see how we, the purported land of the free and home of the brave, will rise to this occasion. Or not. There is in America a great deal of talk about freedom. But upon reflection, most of you already know that you have experienced precious little actual freedom in your lifetimes. This is largely because your government has been in mothballs, and your public employees have been running things to suit themselves and their corporate masters. They've slowly, and sometimes not so slowly, usurped upon us until everything is upside down and backwards. The tail is wagging the dog. The employees are telling the employers what to do, and every other modern illness of body, mind, and spirit has accrued. If you want this craziness to end, and you want the freedom you have earned and the money you are owed, welcome home. That's what all the rest of us want too. Remember that going forward, and you won't need me to tell you what to do. You will quickly learn the simple logic and laws of freedom. Every man and woman is born free and deserves to live and die free. Everyone is responsible for him or herself, for what we think and what we do. With every right comes a responsibility. Our individual rights end where another's rights begin. Rights and freedoms that are not exercised are moot. When we enslave another, we enslave ourselves. We're responsible for directing those we employ. If we don't like something, it's up to us to change it. If we see an injustice, it's up to us to correct it. If we want peace, it's our duty to keep it. If we're bogged down, it's our job to climb over or dig under. If we wish our own rights, we must cherish the rights of others. If we cherish our own rights, we must cherish the freedom of others. And we can never give up or hand over our responsibilities in these respects to anyone else. For the moment we do, we are putting ourselves and everyone else at the mercy of those twisted and maniacal few who willfully live their lives as parasites. These con artists and bagmen have proliferated while Americans slept. They've been spinning their tails and redefining everyone and everything to suit themselves. They've registered us as foreign nationals, rewritten history at least a dozen times, taken over our schools, taken over our airwaves, bullied us on the highways we paid for, mortgaged our homes and businesses to pay their debts, passed themselves off as our representatives, and wreaked havoc throughout the rest of the world. And all the while, they've been blaming us, their victims, for it. And everyone fell into the victimhood mode. People throughout the world have been taught to blame the Americans, when those responsible are actually foreign subcontractors of ours and commercial corporations run amok on our shores. It's time to recoup our tarnished reputation as a country and as a nation. It's time to let fly the big news that it wasn't us causing all the trouble, spending all the money, and bullying everyone inside and outside our borders. As you embark officially on this grand enterprise of reclaiming America for Americans, it's time to fully understand that we nearly lost it. What could not be taken from us by force of arms has been siphoned away by guile instead. Our enemies have not come from Russia or China. Instead, they come from Dallas and New York and New Orleans and LA and Frisco, from Lisbon and Leeds, Brussels and Bern, Rome, and of course, most of all, from Westminster and the inner city of London. Neighbors right next door, right? They could actually be a neighbor. The postal worker that you've known for 10 years, right? It's our purported friends and allies who have betrayed us because they're the only ones who could, the ones who had the means, the motive, their unpaid debt to us, the inside track, the trust, and the opportunity to create this entire debacle. And they betrayed their own people too. So face it, acknowledge where we are and all the mistakes and misconceptions and violations of trust that put us in this position. Looking at nearly 160 years of enslavement by our own public employees, occupation by our own army, and all the rest of it. It's daunting to say the least. Nothing is as it should be, nor as our talking heads told us it was. Walter Cronkite lied through his teeth, and the only truthful comment he left us was a Saturday Night Live skit in something like 1993. Some people looking at this would tell you that the American dream is dead. Might as well go home, roll a rock over heads, and learn to speak Mandarin. But that's not what we believe here at our state assemblies. We believe that we are the employers of these goats, and we will have our way. The Queen and the Pope and the Lord Mayor will have to pay the piper for what they've done here. To their good friends and supporters, the Americans, the Aussies, the Canadians too. To the Germans and the Japanese, the Libyans, Syrians, Iraqis, and Palestinians, the Poles, the Czechs, the Lebanese, the Croatians, the Bosnians, the Koreans, the Vietnamese, the Indians, the Russians, the French, and the Italians, the Greeks, the Turks, and almost everyone else have suffered right along with us, including the entire continent of Africa. It's not us on the run, folks, it's them. So take a good deep breath through the nose, much healthier through the nose, and begin. Bring your own mop and bucket. It's time for self-governance. All right, so that was the end of that video. All right, so we'll go ahead and thank you to those that do have an opportunity to play the video back, and we shall see you on the next call.